this time, moving on to our next session, I would like to invite Mr. Louis Barker from Ridge Partners, LLC, and he will be speaking on waste to diesel. Mr. Louis combines technical and executive expertise with proven leadership in natural resource management and global economic development. He has experience in project development and finance, alternative energy business development, and energy crop supply chain. He was also the Deputy Commissioner for the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. Mr. Louis holds an MBA in Business Administration from the Vanderbilt University, an MS in Environmental Engineering from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and a BS in Agricultural Engineering, University of Tennessee, Knoxville as well. He's also a registered civil engineer. Today, Mr. Louis will be doing a presentation of profitable waste management solutions for major metropolitan regions of the Caribbean. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Louis Barker.
Well, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. Reflecting on our first conversation with Raphael several months ago now, we started talking about waste to diesel. I think it's the first thing we talked about, and the first location we talked about was Guyana. So I'm going to present, first off, Tom Kluber, CEO and founder of Ridge Partners, couldn't be here. He sends his regrets and asked me to represent them. I'm with BLT Energy of Knoxville, Tennessee, as is my partner Dan Thompson back here at table 4. So either of us can pick up this conversation. The topic given and the case study I want to share a quick overview of is in the Dominican Republic. I've got a video and then some PowerPoint. If you want to go ahead and get the video ready. Picture's worth 1,000 words, and a 3-minute video is worth a lot of time. But I want to kind of, this is what worked in the Dominican Republic. They're authorized, and it required, picking up on this morning's conversation, this project works at scale, right? And to work at scale, you got to have a lot of communities, a lot of governments working together. Everything said this morning is critically important to the success of the project I'm getting ready to show you. Now, they're authorized to build 10 of these at $300 million each in the Dominican Republic. That's a big number. And building 20 of them in Colombia. That's recent news. So it cash flows, right? It really boils down to a government solution for municipal solid waste. So we turn that garbage into renewable energy. The folks in this room have a decision to make of whether to export highly valuable renewable energy. And by the way, we can use the same core technology. Dan was one of the early investors in proton power. So any of that biomass we can also make into electricity, green electricity and fuel blockchain. So you may have communities in your countries that it makes more sense to make power than to aggregate it all in one place and make diesel fuel. Point is, we've got some technologies that we can bring, proven technologies ready to go. We've got the financing with a lot of partners in the room ready to go, but the key to making it happen is working with the governments and the people. So integration of the Caribbean that you talked about this morning to an engineer like me sounds like economy of scale, to get enough and to connect that infrastructure to get it all in the right place. So this is a 3-minute overview that gives you a quick overview of what's Ridge Partners is doing in the Dominican Republic. go ahead and load the PowerPoint next. A couple of comments about the video. That's what will be built in the Dominican Republic. We have that project running in Tennessee, same technologies, a little bit smaller scale, as well as Alabama in the United States. But that's the scale that takes. That particular scale requires about 1 million people in population, right? As I'm an ag guy, so we say feed that beast if you've ever fed cattle, right? We can make that at half that size, 500,000. The typical municipal solid waste per person is a kilogram or 2 per day. So let's talk about a 500,000 population. Takes a couple of years to build them. Barbados might be there in a couple of years, or find ways to work together, integrating the Caribbean. That was proton power, the core technology, 2/3 of the way, that was glowing red. That's 1100 degrees centigrade. That's the same temperature that rocks become lava, and you can melt glass. And that's really the magic here. It's really hot. And the founders at Proton Power that we know well, they control that. It's pyrolysis and accident of oxygen. It's not really burning. It's gasifying. It's becoming vapor. And then they have proprietary processes at the end. They're not Fischer-Tropsch, like Exxon and British Petroleum, but they put those gases back and make ultra low sulfur. So 3 parts per million of sulfur, ultra low sulfur. No fossil fuel. Process is completely carbon negative. There's a lot of words on these PowerPoints. If we want to get them on up, I'm going to go through them kind of fast because you can download them and read them yourself, but I just wanted to touch a few numbers here for you in the interest of time. Ridge Partners created a joint venture with another global firm to build these projects in the Dominican. So it requires people working together, like we heard this morning, a joint venture. This particular project, the renewable diesel fuel, the offtake agreements, British Petroleum back to Europe. People in this room have the decision whether you'd rather keep the commodity power here, electricity or diesel fuel, or export it as well. But it's bankable, and it really solves your landfill problem. So that just makes the point that in a lot of the Caribbean, as well as parts of Brazil, plastics on beaches are a big problem. This technology is unique because up to 25% of the feedstock going in can be plastic. We also represent a company near Oak Ridge National Lab in Tennessee that has a recycling process. It's a little bit lower temperature pyrolysis technology, but they're particularly good at recycling tires. I've got that PowerPoint. I can share it with you later. I didn't want to spend this time on this topic, but the point is, as being discussed in the Dominican, the proton power is tuned to take that sorted municipal solid waste, make diesel fuel and some other products that I'll get to in as well. If you're going to sort it anyway, you might as well run the tires and the rest of the plastic. That's the take-home message. The rest of the plastic can run with the tire recycling facility right next to it. Different technologies, different companies putting them together, but a real solution to recycling toward energy and building materials that I'm getting ready to share. A lot of that was covered already. 25 communities have agreed. Presidential decree. It requires the government guaranteeing to provide municipal solid waste to the project. To de-risk these things for the financial community, you've got to ensure that there will be feedstock for a long period of time. That may not be a hard memo to sign that you can have the garbage, right? And the plastic. There's a little bit of a tipping fee, but it's less than sending it to your landfill. The Dominican also passed laws to support this as well. No new landfills, closing landfills, that kind of thing. All of which de-risk the project, makes it more bankable. there's plenty of opportunities to finance these in a lot of different ways. What we're here to talk about is that core technology that makes it possible. It's harder to talk to you to build the first one. We're going to build the third one will be in the Dominican Republic, along with 9 more, and then 20. So you won't have to worry about the technology working, which is a big issue, Raphael, if you're looking at making these projects bankable around the world. And whether it's fundamentally, we break down the cellulose, so it's fundamentally hydrogen is the energy driver here. And hydrogen has a lot of interesting things to think about as well. And you can do that at a lot smaller scale, and particularly electricity. If you've got solar, wind, some nuclear to base load, you can use these to shave some peaks and do some other things with your grid. Now, the project I just showed you, the typical plant for the Dominican, it's about 10 megawatts of power. So you'll have to be, and what we would propose working with everybody in the room, and what BLT does particularly well, is identify as Congressman Green said this morning, what assets do we have here? Well, we've got ag residues, right? We can run on yard clippings, slash from timber, sugarcane bagasse if it's somewhere. It's biomass. It's particularly nice because it's sorted municipal solid waste, including plastics. But this technology will run on a lot of different feedstocks. All of that's available in different scales and in different places. You need a marine transportation infrastructure to get it all in the right place. There may be regions of your country that need electricity more, and we could drop in a smaller scale and base load some electricity. We've got 4 tubes driving 4 gen sets at a sausage plant near our hometown in Tennessee, making a megawatt electricity off there, for example. So again, the government's working together, 1,000 metric tons a day. That's a big challenge. That's a big challenge. So the topic was major metro centers, but I'm emphasizing or communities, countries working together. But we've got to figure out the logistics of all that and how to move it around and what is the optimum system for the integrated Caribbean region. That's really the take-home message. I think we've seen a lot. We have a similar project in other parts of the world. The shipping industry that wants to get away from bunker oil. This is ultra low sulfur, and we can make it less than wholesale price and and everybody is interested in reducing their carbon footprint. So if you bring manufacturing back to the Caribbean, you have green energy, green fuels, green power. Anything leaving has a lower carbon footprint, certainly than if it was made in China. So your products are differentiated right there just because this power is available. The technology, I'm going the wrong way. It's one on top, I'm back. Those are major global players that are involved. Lawaz out of Germany, Proton Power is the core technology there. Both Ridge Partners and E3I are the construction companies putting it together. Global players, and they will have built several of these in the next couple of years. So we really don't have to worry about the technology or the management team and a lot of the things the bankers will want to know about because we're doing it already. It's a 2-step process. As you saw, there's sorted municipal solid waste. It'll be dried and compressed into pellets, energy pellets. You can do anything you want with the energy pellets. As it said, it's really a substitute for coal at that point. Those provide a very consistent feedstock where we pull out on the back end, primarily focused on the Proton Power system, and put it back together as diesel fuel. So that's the template model that we're using now. Again, it's synthetic diesel, not to be confused with biodiesel, which tends to be made out of oil seeds like soybeans. In the industry, it's synthetic diesel, completely drop in. So there's no difference in this diesel fuel than current diesel fuel that's on the market. It meets all the standards, really good on clarity, Doesn't get cloudy and cold weather. And again, it is at 2 parts per million, the lowest sulfur there is out there, and it never touched fossil fuels. Whoops, I went too fast. One other thing that I wanted to emphasize based on conversations this morning since we've been here, so cellulose goes in, which is plant material, and we're carrying some plastic with that. The hydrocarbons become the diesel fuel, obviously. What's left over is the lignin in the plant, and that comes out at this temperature as biochar. If you are familiar with charcoal, that's at one level. At a higher temperature, the carbon structure is a little different. That's biochar. Now, and we've got, for the model I showed you, 28,000 tons a year of biochar. If you incorporate that into your soil, everything will grow better. Carbon is, particularly you don't have this problem here, but in semi-arid regions, it has water holding capacity. It really improves, but the carbon makes everything about the soil chemistry work better, right? And carbon is hard to replace. When we talk about compost, when you think about parts of Brazil, when the indigenous people burned the forest to make black soils, they're putting carbon in the soil. So we've got biochar. If we burn processed wood chips, better feedstock, if you will, we make the world's best graphene. We currently have an offtake agreement for $20,000 US a ton for the graphene. And that makes car batteries and high advanced materials. We're not sure we can make that with municipal solid waste. Those numbers are from wood chips and better. But if we've got agricultural residues, sugarcane bagasse, corn stover, wheat straw, anything forestry, that whole space, we know we get graphene from it because we're running at the highest temperature of anybody in the world consistently. So those kind of, you have materials, right? You've turned a waste stream, or as Congressman said, an asset to an opportunity. Now you've got these highly valued commodities to export or choose to do with. We also get a lot of wood vinegar, which has some industrial chemical processes, an organic pesticide. It does some good things too. Again, no carbon footprint, 0 emissions, and all that's documented by third parties. Some of this has been covered already with the biochar. Let me just finish up. It's about a $300 million CapEx project. A lot of ways to put that together financially with these kind of high value projects and offtake agreements. You can put that financial model together in a lot of different ways. As I said, we've done 3 years of work. We're ready to go in Guyana. We're ready to go in Guyana. That work's been done, including where to build it and all the pieces on that. So that if we wanted some short-term success, if you will, Guyana might be the place, because Ridge Partners, before Dan and I was really involved with them, and our first call with Raphael was like, we did all that work, spent a few $1 million to get ready to go, and it just didn't happen at the last minute, if you will. So that would be an easy one to have early success of working together, and probably clearly has the scale to put one together. You got about 350 people during construction. In Dominican, we're actually building dormitories for the folks that live around the landfills and sort the garbage anyway. So we're going to give them a job working in the new facility, as well as sharing some of the profits back for social programs, because in a lot of places, folks are living in and around the landfills and for food waste or whatever. So and we really liked the first conversation we had with Upturn, because they were saying the same things we were saying with Ridge Partners and BLT Energy that Dan are here representing. Let me get to some numbers. First 3-year pro forma revenue, gross profits, with the offtake agreements we have for renewable diesel fuel, they're attractive. all right? And if you de-risk it from, somebody said this morning, probably at this point, government risk might be the largest one. We've pretty much taken the environmental feedstock risk. Our feedstock risk is the government risk, right? To make sure we have enough. But the rest falls into place with the technologies that are proven and the ability to put it together with world-class construction companies. And those are what the numbers will look like. We have done it 60-30 or 30-70 equity to debt, but that can change as well. There's just a summary slide of all the things Raphael and his team talk about as well. This is particularly just how Ridge Partners put the projects in the Dominican together with their insurances and the Prime Tech. It's kind of important to note at the end, they will be the operator and are envisioned to be the operator everywhere. So wherever these are built, there'll be different owners and different financial models, but it's envisioned that almost in a franchise kind of way, Prime Tech will be the operator. That way, that institutional knowledge carries and you don't have any false starts as you replicate this. There's some slides that you can, in conclusion, again, the Ridge Partner will take about 80% of everything headed to the landfill out of it. If we put Delta Energy from Tennessee next to it to take care of the tires and the rest of the plastic, we really can't eliminate essentially everything going to the landfills. Emily King and I have worked together for a long time on a lot of different projects. She and I both represent a road building company as well. It makes the most sense if in mining with her tailings or overburden with the proprietary, it's an accelerator, but what it basically does is if you think about sedimentary rock, soil over a long period of time becomes rock. And this proprietary powder makes that happen in weeks, not thousands of years. So you really can use less asphalt, and particularly best for airports and ports. So that would be the message here, that you can really build roads. At the same time, you deal with tailings and overburdening from any mining operations that Emily might talk about tomorrow. So I'll leave that one for her and just stick with these two. It's great to be here. My wife's on the beach somewhere. Saw her earlier. She's happy. I'm happy. So it's our first time to Barbados, and we really enjoy it. Congressman Mark Green is my congressman, and I didn't know he had a problem stealing batteries, so I apologize. And I have a Nissan, and that explains a lot now. So I'm just, that special ops community is, you better keep an eye on him. And I found my brother in Christ back here and I'm thinking, Ambassador, your mental maps is right. And I met, my wife and I got married in 1979 in the church he preaches at in Knoxville, Tennessee now. And she's 40 some odd years later, we're still here. So that mental map is working, and the passion of the heart pushes that out too. So there's no reason we can't get this done. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.